I was telling Becca my jokes this morning are blonde jokes, asking her if she's okay with that. It's okay. I can tell them because I was blonde my whole life until my hair turned whatever color it is now. Anyway, what's that? Chrome. I like that. Silver-haired fox. I like that one better. But anyway, yeah, a couple of blonde jokes. If you guys are all right with that. So this blonde is driving along, obviously going way too fast. This police officer pulls her over, who also happens to be a lady and blonde. She pulls her over and she says, so did you know that you were going really, really fast? And the lady says, well, I don't know anything about that. She goes, all I know is I started getting really cold, and I looked down at my thermometer, and it only said 50. So I pushed on the thermostat real hard, but I think my thermometer's broken because it said it was 85, but it didn't feel any warmer in here. Lady cop leans in there and looks at the lady. She shakes her head. She says, yep, you're right. It's broken. It can't be zero in here. Anyway, she said, but anyway, I still need to see your driver's license. Okay, and the lady starts rummaging through her purse and she's looking. She says, well, what does my driver's license look like? She says, it's a square thing that has your picture on it. Oh, okay, I know where that is. And she pulls out this mirror, and she goes, yep, here it is. She hands it to the lady, and the lady looks at it, and she says, oh, I didn't know you were a police officer. Go ahead, you can be on your way.
Oh, my God.
Okay, another one. I think this is my favorite blonde joke. This blonde lady goes into the emergency room, and she's got a gunshot wound through her hand. And she sees the attending physician. He looks at her hand and says, well, how did this happen? Well, I'll tell you. She said, things have not been going very good for me lately. She said, first off, my boyfriend left me just because I was sleeping with his best friend. She said, then they took my car away from me, said I hadn't been making payments. I don't understand that. She said, and then to top it all off, I broke 2 nails in one day. She says, that was the end of it. I couldn't handle it anymore. I decided I was going to take my own life. He says, but lady, you've got a gunshot wound to your hand. I know. She said, I was going to shoot myself in the chest, and I thought, I just paid $10,000 for these. I'm not going to do that. And then I was going to shoot myself in the face, and I thought, wow, I'm way, way too pretty for that. She said, so I decided I would shoot myself in the ear, and I knew it was going to be really loud. Okay, I'm going to get off here before you guys start throwing tomatoes and stuff. Anyway.
We don't have any tomatoes, so you're good.
All right. I'm excited to hear Becca's story. She's the one that talked me into giving mine last week, so if I can suffer, you can too, right? Anyway, I'm excited about it. I love testimonies, by the way. I would love to hear any of y'all's testimonies on a Monday morning. And like I told Becca, it doesn't have to be live on Facebook. It can be just a personal family thing. But there's a lot of you that I'd really, really love to hear your testimonies. And see me about that, and we'll set it up. Please. We love that on Monday mornings. Anyway, all yours.
Okay, so bear with me because this is going to be kind of, I'm a crybaby. So when I was born into, thank you. I was born into a family that my mother didn't know what she was doing because she was never shown how to be a mom. My dad was the biggest meth cook in the 4 states, and my mom told me stories about how when I would get, like when us kids would come home from school, she would be outside like spraying air freshener so the bus didn't smell the anhydrous. And we weren't allowed to be inside. And it was, when I was younger, I thought I was upset about it, but now I understand why my mom didn't want us in there, you know? I mean, we ate our food outside. We did everything outside. When I was about 4 years old is the first time the cops kicked the door in. SWAT team with guns and shields. They had even us kids, all my mom's and dad's friends on the floor with guns. I went to my mom's friend at that time, and my mom was able to get us back. So then when I was about a year later, after my mom got me, they kicked in the door again, and I went to foster care because my mom asked her mom to keep us, and she said she couldn't do it. And so we went to foster care. The first foster home I went to was in Osage City, Kansas. And that's where I feel like I first met the devil. I was abused sexually, physically, emotionally, by my foster father and my foster brother. And that's where I became scared of the dark. I don't know. I always tell you guys I'm scared of the dark because my foster brother made me watch a scary movie and then locked me in a dark closet for hours. And that's the first time I saw Jesus. So my brother and I was about 5 or 6 years old, and my brother was 9, and we kept trying to run away. And the cops would find us, and they just kept bringing us back. And then finally, the cops are like, okay, why do these kids keep trying to run from this house? And they had some people come in, and of course, we had bruises and stuff. And so they removed us from that home, and we went to Yates Center. And that was the first time that I actually saw what a family is kind of supposed to be like. Like, they were really good people. We all sat down to dinner together, and that's something I had never done before. And then my grandmother, she was an amazing woman. She decided to adopt me and my brother. Well, my brother was pretty messed up already at that time, and he beat up my grandma, and so he got put back in foster care and got adopted out. And that was the one thing. It was always my brother and I against the world. Like, we were always together through all of it. And so that was pretty rough. But he went to an amazing home. Like, he got put through school and everything. And so my dad got out of prison. And my dad was my favorite person in the entire world. When I was 12 years old, my dad and I got in a huge fight. And I told him I hated him and never wanted to see him again. I walked out the door and walked down to my friend's house. My grandma called me and told me to come home. That my dad was sick. And I was like, no, F that. And I wanted to come home. My dad died that night. And I so regret saying that, but I know he knows that I didn't mean it. So that's when I started getting into drugs and boys, and I started smoking weed. I started drinking. I started being really mean to my grandma, and she was a saint. That woman was a saint. And so, fast forward a little bit, when I turned on my 16th birthday, I tried meth for the first time. And I was stuck, hooked ever since. I've just came out of a 20-year addiction. I've never had more than 90 days clean. So when I was 17 years old, I got really drunk one night on a box of wine, and I had taken a bunch of Xanax. And I beat this girl up and put her in the hospital. And I guess the doctor said that I felt guilty for doing that. And so when the cops were looking for me, I took off running, which made me black out even further. And I ran to my house. My mom walked into our refrigerator in the living room. It was like in the living room. The couch was thrown over. Every drawer in the house was taken out, dumped out all over the floor. And my mom said she saw my feet and she was relieved because she knew I wasn't in jail. She said, and then she took another step. And it became the worst day of her life. I was laying there completely naked with my wrists mutilated. I remember a little, like I'm starting to remember it a little bit now, but so my mom, we lived like 3 blocks from the hospital. My mom picked me up and carried me. She ran all the way to the hospital. The last face I saw before I completely faded out was the girl that I had put in the hospital. She was leaving the hospital as I was going in. And I was laying there, and all of a sudden, like I was freezing. I was so cold. And all of a sudden, I just felt this tightness and this warmth like I've never felt before. It was the most comfortable, the most comforting, the most beautiful feeling I've ever felt in my life. And I now know that that was Jesus again. So I couldn't use my hands at all. My mom had to do everything for me for a long time. I completely severed everything. So then my mom told me, she was like, this may sound weird. She's like, but I really want you to have a baby. She was like, because I feel like if you have a child, then you have something to live for. And I was like, no, that's never going to happen. I didn't want kids. I didn't want anything to do with kids. Wasn't interested at all. A year and a half later, I got pregnant with my first daughter. And she saved my life. But right after she was born, I went to prison. I spent the first 5 years of her life in prison. And now I parent out of guilt because of that a lot. I was just talking about that with the girls. So I got out of prison, and I met this guy who I thought was amazing. He worked with my mom in the oil field. And I fell head over heels, and I thought he was just perfect. One night, I didn't know that he had a darkness over him. And he shot me up for the first time forcefully. And for about 6 months after that, it was forcefully. And it was, I hated it at first. And then it became my escape from him. And that's how I got addicted to it. So fast forward a little bit more. I went to rehab for the first time. And I met another boy. And I ran away from rehab with him. And we ended up in Hutchinson, Kansas. And I discovered heroin. That was a very, very, very dark time in my life, a very dark addiction. I don't remember a lot of it. But I remember it ended with me living on the back steps of an apartment building that I didn't know anybody that lived there. I didn't know anybody in Hutch. I called my corrections officer to come pick me up. He's like, you realize I'm going to have to take you to jail? I was like, please do. So I went back to prison from that time. When I got out is when, and I'm skipping through a lot of stuff because this would take all day. But so when I got out, I moved to Springfield to get kind of a change of scenery because Iola was just, I couldn't be there. I didn't feel like I could be there. And I met my husband. And we were both clean at the time. I didn't know that he was an addict. He didn't know that I was an addict until we both just all of a sudden were like, hey, let's do some heroin. And so that turned into, long story short, that turned into the darkest days of my entire life. He is an amazing man, but his brain cannot handle drugs at all. I saw things that I never, and my kids saw things that they should never have to see ever. My daughter is just now getting to where she can hear his voice without freaking out. So we had, after I met him and we went off into this addiction, I left him. And about 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant with Kepri. And I wanted to do the right thing. I've always wanted a family, the family that I'd never got. And so we got back together and spiraled even further. I mean, we abused each other. It was pretty messy. And then I got pregnant again the next year. And then I got pregnant again the next year. And we have split up. We've been married for 6 years, and we've only been together for like maybe a year of it all together. Like not consecutively, but all together. Neither one of us knew how to love. We've never been taught how to love. Neither one of us ever had a family. Neither one of us. And so I'm a runner. And anytime stuff gets hard, I run. And so the last time I left, and I left a few times, but the last time I left, I stayed with my oldest daughter's stepmom for about a year, and I was taking the kids to daycare. I was babysitting kids. I mean, I had at least 2 children with me constantly that weren't mine, and then I was taking care of 7 children. And I got burnout, I got overwhelmed, and my addiction grew darker and way bigger, and I snapped. I lost my mind, and I ran away again. And I was gone for about 2 nights, and I met someone that I'd never heard about. Hannah's House. I met someone that had just left the program, and he was like, you should go to Hannah's House. He heard part of my story, and he was like, I think the Hannah House would be amazing for you. Because I've always known God. I met Jesus at a very, very young age. Like, I met him very young. And so I've never doubted that there's Jesus. I didn't want to surrender to Jesus. I felt like I needed the control. I felt like I had it. And so I was like, I am not trying to, I've been to almost every rehab in the state of Kansas. It's like, I am not trying to go to rehab again. And so I didn't realize that this isn't a rehab, you know? And so he ended up going to jail. Like, he was my, like, life jacket. He saved my life because, so when I was 17, Trev. When I was 17, I got my first kidney stones. I had 5 in my right side and 2 in my left side, large, very large kidney stones, and I had to have surgery. And then it just, ever since then, constantly, I would have kidney stones. And the doctors couldn't figure out, and of course I was a drug addict already, and so they thought I was just drug seeking every time I went to the hospital in pain. And so it took until I was 27, 28, until the doctors discovered that I have a super rare kidney disease that is forming cysts on my kidneys. I didn't realize that all the damage I was doing to my kidneys were already compromised. And so I went to the doctor, and once he found out about it, he was so excited. He was like, oh my gosh. He's like, I know what it is. I know what's wrong. And I was like, okay, what is it? And he told me, he's like, it's polycystic kidney disease. And I was like, I've never even heard of it. And he was like, yeah, I was, and so I asked him, I was like, what do I do? Like, what can I do? There's no medicine for it. If I go to the hospital, like literally all they do is treat the pain. All they can do is treat the pain. And it's very painful. So he was like, well, he's like, we learned about it in school very briefly. He's like, but I've never actually seen anybody with this disease before. He was like, so I have no idea. And so he gave me a website, and I was like, sir, you don't want me to Google anything because I'll be dying tomorrow. You know, I was like, I can't do the Google thing. And so I had my mom help me look it up, and there's been 200 cases studied of it. In every single case, the kidneys failed by 40 or 50 at the latest. And I am a drug addict, was a drug addict, and so I don't qualify for a transplant. But the way I see it is, my God is so much bigger. And the fact that I'm still alive, if my kidneys were already compromised and I did all that heroin and meth and all that stuff, he's definitely got something else planned for me. And so I just keep reminding myself of that. It gets hard though when I'm in bed and it's hurting real bad, and the doctors tell you that your kidney function is practically gone. It gets really hard to want to stay sober. The devil gets in my head and he's like, it's like, you're going to die anyways. What's the point? You might as well go do what you want. And I'm so glad that I found this place, because this place, I was in the woods. I was trying to find a tent, and I was stuck in Chanute, and that's how I met Trev. And he saved my life. He wouldn't let me. I was going to go to the woods and just let nature take its course. This was right before that, I was feeling real sick one day, and my kidneys were hurting real bad. And I went to the hospital, and they're like, oh, it's just another kidney stone. You're fine. And I'm like, no, this is different. Like, this does not feel right. So they sent me home. A couple days later, I was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance because I was septic. There was, like, that's another miracle that I made it through that. And so about 6 months after that, I got septic again. And turns out, I guess that's part of the disease. It's the sepsis that's gonna keep happening more often. Um, and so I was ready to just go out to the woods and wait for the next time the sepsis came and just let nature take its course. And so when I walked through that door, because I've tried everything to get sober. I've tried everything to be happy. I've tried everything to be okay, and nothing ever worked. And so when I walked through that door, I made myself a promise, and I made God a promise that I give him all of it, and I'm not going to pick it back up this time. And it's been a whole different story. I feel completely different. My sickness hasn't been, I mean, I have a couple days where I'm in bed. It hurts still, but it's not like I was. Like there were days that I couldn't get out of bed because when my kidneys swell up, it makes my stomach feel sick. It hurts. And so I just lay in bed. And here, like it's been a whole different ballgame, giving it to him. And I see now that that's what he's wanted this whole time. He just wanted he wanted to take it from me because I can't handle it myself. And I just want to throw this in there because the only other time I've felt that warm feeling, that hug feeling, was Steve, Ruth, Jackie, and I were in the music room praying over Crystal Brook because there was we could feel this darkness over the women's house in Crystal Brook. And so we were just in there praying for an hour. And I felt that warm feeling again. And that's what made me remember back when I was in the hospital. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, that's God, you know? I was like, God, I could feel his presence here. And God wanted me to come here. God needed me to come here so I could get away from that phone. I could get away from all that other stuff and focus on him. And for a couple years now, I've been crying every night because I'm like, I feel like God wants me to do something. Like I had this overwhelming feeling, like I was like uncomfortable in my own skin. This overwhelming feeling, I would cry to my husband every night. I'm like, God wants something for me. I'm like, he needs me to do something and I don't know what it is. I was like, but I feel like it's big, but I'm not ready for it yet. And coming here, I've been able to listen. I've been able to hear him. I've been able to, and I feel like this is him preparing me for what he has for me because I wasn't ready for it. And I feel like everything I went through put me exactly where I needed to be to figure out what it was that I need to be doing. And so this place, I will do anything for this place. Like I will go above and beyond because I wasn't forced to come here. This isn't like a punishment. This was all God. Like the way I got in here, all I did was fill out an application. I didn't know Kat was here. Kat and I used to get high together. And I didn't know she was here. I saw her on stage playing drums and stuff, but I didn't know where it was at. And I guess Kat saw my name come over the computer in the email. And she goes running out of the office. She's like, Becca Jones. She's like, we got to get her in here. They had me in the next day. Like, and I prayed to God. I was like, if this is for me, like, please just make this easy. Not necessarily easy, but line it up like it's supposed to be. And I literally didn't even have to try. I didn't have to do anything but click send on that little application. And I was in here. And it's hard being away from my family, but I know that if I keep running from my family, and I don't want to keep doing that because I realize I see it now that I've stepped away and I've gotten sober. I see what it's doing to my babies. My son is having a hard time in school, was before they moved. My daughter just cries all the time. And I don't want to do to them what happened to me. And I don't want to lose them because I know what's out there. I know what could happen. I'm supposed to protect them. And so I keep not being able, I'm like, should I leave? Should I go? Like Katie knows I've been having a really hard time lately as to whether I should stay here or whether my season is up here and it's time for me to go. And so I just keep praying on that because I'm still not sure about that. But I do know that this place has done amazing things, and this place is amazing. And my girls are amazing. I love you too. And I'm done.
You know, there are times that I find myself getting, what's the right word? Taking what's going on here for granted. Where I kind of lose that sense of wonder. That's why I love testimonies so much, because it really is a beautiful thing that happens here. And I've seen this for a lot, and I need to make sure I never, ever, ever, ever take it for granted or lose that sense of wonder of what God can do. And then I hear the stories, and it just builds me up so much. You have no idea what getting up here and pouring out your life and your stories can do for other people. And there are people out there that need to hear this. I don't know, but Lord, forgive me forever. Ever taking this for granted. Forever losing that wonder of what you can do to people's lives. And what he does to me, just to be able to hear a story like that, and it just, sometimes I'm so shocked what this world can do. It just hurts me in my spirit when I see somebody that's been hurt like that. But I've read the end of the book. I know what all of our futures are.
I just want to say I'm proud of you for getting up here and sharing your story. It's never easy. Never easy. But there's so much healing in that. And I'm excited for what's next for you.
The most beautiful thing road, we're all together, all
I really needed to hear your story today. I did. There's so much power in it, you know? And it has a way of not just touching lives, but also humbling sometimes. And I just want to tell you from one heart to another that I'm really sorry for the things you had to go through to get to where you are. But I'm so proud of you for getting to where you are. I'm very proud of you. And like I said, that struggle that you're having, whether you should stay or you should go, whenever it's your time, you will have complete peace about it. There'll be no struggle. There'll be no confusion. It'll be, you'll know. So I encourage you to just stay here until you really experience that peace in that answer. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yep. She said that'll be good. Love that. Man, it's really good to see you guys. I've missed out on the last couple weeks and just sickness and different things and just been fighting my own spirits to just stay up on the up, you know. And I'm real bad about expressing it because I feel like I should always have it all together all the time and to admit that I struggle makes me feel not as strong as I like to believe that I am. I'm really proud of you. I am really proud of you. It takes a lot. And I encourage you guys to become brave in your own story and not just what it can do to really speak out and be vulnerable. There's so much power to it, not just for the people who are hearing it, but for yourself. Because I know for me, like on the inside, I have to fight to really find that strength sometimes. But whenever you open up and start sharing your story, the Holy Spirit starts speaking through you. And while you're speaking to other people, he starts speaking it back. And that helps you to be able to see yourself in a different way, if this makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, I promise you, if you just try it, you'll experience it and you'll know exactly what I mean. It's so powerful and incredible what God does whenever you start speaking out and sharing your story, because it doesn't, if you really want to heal and you really want to get better, just start sharing it. Just start sharing it with the people who are in this room, who understand and who have walked through a lot of the similar things that you've walked through. And just being able to get it out and express it in a healthy manner, you know. And she did it through her tears today. Like we saw that. And it takes strength, it takes courage, it takes a vulnerability to get up here and share your stuff. But
and that's what I was going to say is your vulnerability breaks down walls for other people. Absolutely breaks down walls for other people.
Yeah. I remember, I think it was maybe your first week here, you and I had a conversation. And I'm like, I just can't say it enough. I'm just proud of you. Like, you only opened up to me a tiny bit of what you opened up here today. And I'm really excited for what's next for you. So just stick with it, stick it out, keep doing what you're doing, and just let God keep doing what only God can do in you.
Anybody else want to do testimony? Would you? I mean, next Monday? Yes. I look forward to it.